You got Mama.
Little lover
Let me
boy.
try your hands. In a minute. I wriggled out of
Taking
my
care of me
stays,
when I'm
dropped
sick.
my shift, and hung it on the hook by the door.
Yeah.
Then pulled my home shift over my head. It wasn't quite as sanitary as having surgical scrubs to wear to work.
Perfect, Brody. I got that on camera.
Cold with diseases, and I do whatever I
Who
could
is
to
that?
avoid bringing them back to Jimmy. He'd run into enough of them in the
Oh.
Look how sweet he is.
Yeah,
I splashed the
yeah.
last of the water over my face and arms, then sat down on the
Such a
pallet
good boy,
beside
Man,
Jimmy,
you're the
giving a small cry as my knee
You're
cracked
doing
painfully. "God, those poor hands," he murmured, gently patting them with the towel, then swabbing my face. "And your nose is sunburned too, the wee thing. What about yours?" Calloused as they normally were, his hands were still a mass of nicks,
What's the date
scraped
today?
knuckles, splinters,
March
and blisters.
March
But he
25th.
dismissed that with a brief flip of
I
one
mean,
hand
I was
and
just
lay back down
wondering
again with a
because I
luxurious
was
groan.
just, yeah, whatever.
Does your knee
Just so I know when I
hurt?
look back on
Is
it.
that your time date
Seeming
still?
rabbit. It hadn't
Yes.
ever
What's the
quite
date?
recovered
What's the date?
during our adventures on the pit, and climbing
Today is
stairs
March
provoked it.
25th, 2010.
Just part of the general
Thursday.
decline, I said, trying to make
Yeah.
it
It's
good.
approximately
I flexed my
4.
right arm gingerly,
It's
feeling
4?
a twinge in the elbow.
Ish.
4-ish.
Things don't bend quite
That's our
easily
time
as they
date,
used to,
Stan.
Mm-hmm.
and other things hurt.
Oh,
Sometimes I
okay.
think I'm falling apart. Jamie closed one eye and regarded me.
Thank you for
"I've
the
felt
kiss.
like that since I was about 20, he observed. You get used to it. He stretched, making his spine give off a series of muffled pops, and held out a hand. "Come to bed, Anian. Nothing hurts when you love me." He was right. Nothing did. I fell briefly asleep, but woke by instinct a couple of hours later to go and check the few patients who needed an eye kept on them. These included Captain Stebbins,
Go there,
who
Mama.
had, to my surprise, stoutly refused either to die or to be doctored by anyone but me. That hadn't gone over well with Lieutenant Stacto or the other surgeons, but as Captain Stebbings' demand was backed up by the intimidating presence of Guinea Dick, pointed teeth, tattoos, and all, I remained his personal surgeon. I found the captain mildly feverish and wheezing audibly, but asleep. Guinea Dick rose from his own pallet at the sound of my step, looking like a particularly fearsome manifestation of someone's nightmare.
One of them
"Has he
hypnotized.
eaten?" I asked softly, laying my hand lightly on Stebbings' wrist. The captain's tubby form had shrunk considerably. Even in the gloom, I could easily see the ribs I'd once had to grope for. "Him has little soup, ma," the African whispered, and moved a hand toward a bowl on the floor covered with a handkerchief to keep out the motion. "Like you said."
What are you
Always
doing?
wait to piss. Good. Stebbings' pulse was a little fast, but not alarming. And when I leaned over him and inhaled deeply, I detected no scent of gangrene. I'd been able to withdraw the tube from his chest 2 days before. And while I had a slight accusation of theft from the site, I thought it a local...
What'd you do?
I had nothing to assist it. There was almost no light in the hospital back, only a rust lit near the door, and what little illumination came from the fires in the courtyard. I couldn't judge Stebbings' colour, but I saw the flash of white as it half opened his eyes. He grunted when he saw me, and closed them again. "Good," I said again, and left him in the tender charge of Mr. Dick. The Guinea man had been offered the charge of enlisting the Continental Army, but had refused, choosing to become a prisoner of war with Captain Stebbings, the wounded Mr. Ormiston, and a few other seamen from the coast. "I am English, free man," he had said quickly. "Prisoner maybe for a little, but free man. Seaman, but free man. American,
Oh,
maybe not." I left the hospital barracks, called in at the wellman's quarters to check on my case of mops, uncomfortable but not dangerous, and then strolled slowly across the courtyard under a rising moon. The evening breeze had died down, but the night air had some coolness in it, and moved by impulse, I climbed to the demi-lune battery that looked across the narrow end of Lake Champlain at Mount Defiance. There were 2 guards, but both were fast asleep, drinking of liquor. It wasn't unusual. Morale at the fort wasn't high, and alcohol was easily available. I stood by the wall, a hand on one of the guns, its metal still faintly warm from the day's heat. Would we get away, I wondered, before it was hot from being tired? 32 years ago, and they couldn't go fast enough to sleep. Aside from the menace of the British, the fort
Good job, Webby.
stank. It was like living in a tent. Ian and I would leave it without having contracted some wild disease, or having been assaulted by some drunken idiot. I heard a footstep behind me, and turned to see Ian himself, tall and slender in the glow of the fires below. Electric charges, of course, wondering at this unaccustomed for my...
Get it!
I stood aside a little and faced the stand beside me, looking down. Cousin Rihanna would have a thing or two to say about that, he said. With an
What are we gonna do with it?
bridge below. So was Uncle Jimmy. I know. Jerry had been saying it for the last 2 weeks to the Fort New commander, Arthur Clare, to the other militia colonels, to the engineers, to anyone who would listen, and not a few who wouldn't. The folly of expending vast amounts of labor and material in building a bridge that could be easily destroyed by artillery or mounted fire would clear to everyone, except those in command. I sighed. It wasn't the first time I'd seen military blindness, and I was very much afraid it wouldn't be the last. Well, leaving that aside, what do you want to speak to me about, Ian? He took a deep breath and turned toward the moonlit vista over the lake. Did you catch my children who came to the port a wee while past? I did. 2 weeks before, a party had stirred and visited the fort, and Ian had spent an evening smoking with them, listening to their stories. So the English captain Burgoyne, whose hospitality they had previously enjoyed. Burgoyne was active. Indians of the Iroquois, he said, spending a great deal of time and money to wool them. He said his Indian guys took weapons, one of his
Don't you get tired, Walter?
will unleash them upon the Americans, burn like lightning and strike them all dead. Knowing what I did of Indians in general, I thought Burgoyne might be a trifle over-optimistic. Still, I preferred not to think what might happen if it did succeed in persuading any number of Indians to fight the camp of Mount Defiance, lost in thought. Be that as it may, I said, calling in order. Why are you telling me this, Ian? You should tell Jamie and Claire. I did. The cry of a balloon came across the lake, surprisingly loud and eerie. It sounded like yodeling ghosts, particularly when more than one of them was at it. Yes? Well then, I said,
Hey!
what do you want to talk to me about? Ladies, he said abruptly, straightening up and turning to face me. What? I said, startled. He'd been quiet and moody ever since the Huron's visit, and I assumed that something they'd told him had caused it. But I couldn't imagine what they might have said to him regarding babies.
In my hand.
How very...
Put the toy in my hand.
Though his eyes
Put it in my hand.
Had there been more
Ow.
light,
Put it in my hand.
I could have seen him blushing. Yes, said, after a brief pause, I decline to believe
Put it in my
you don't
hand.
know how babies are made. What do you really want to know? He sighed, but at last he looked at me. His lips compressed for a moment, then he blurted,
Waldy, put the toy in my hand.
"Come on, big one."
Never mind.
So what's it like to have the dumbest dog in the face of the planet?
It's just fine.
And that she had then miscarried at least twice. Also,
Was he the object of his affection?
and returning to might be you, I asked.
See his little
Then, but when a child is stillborn or miscarried, so do most women for that matter. I had blamed both myself and Jimmy. He made a small Scottish noise.
Rowdy, say bye.
The more